Hey, it's me, Whisker again. Today I'm gonna make a tier list because I just played through the game with my fire wizard, and I want to give some feedback. Yeah, overall from all the worlds. So let's begin with the first world. So Wizard City is it is pretty short. It's like 1 hour. Um, yeah. What do you think? It's like a good start into the game. With new visuals, it's also pretty nice and yeah, but I can't put it in S tier because in my opinion it's just too easy. Like it's yeah, it's just a bit too easy. But yeah, it's a kids game, but even though yeah, majority is now adults. But anyway, Crocotopia, fight me, I'm putting it on S tier. I wish I could. Um Honestly, I'm gonna put it on A tier. The Fire Pyramid is, since the quest rework, pretty short. Same with the Storm Pyramid. Only the Ice Pyramid is, yeah, it needs a change. Like the arena quest line and then the Order of the Fang stuff just takes way too much time. So yeah, but overall, I really love Crocotopia. It's also kind of short world. It's like 3 hours if you hardcore quest through it. Uh, yeah, and you get like the first interesting spells in there. So A tier for me. Then we come to Marleybone. I'm not a big fan of Marleybone. I really love the new dungeon, or for me, the new dungeon, the I think level 40 dungeon, the Royal Palace. But my problem with this world, everything looks the exact same. I mean, Crocotopia has also this issue, yeah, but here it's even worse. Like everything is just the roofs and yeah, I just don't like Marleybone, and I put it on. It's not a really bad world, but I would put it on C tier. You can also finish it in like 3 to 4 hours, maybe less in a group, maybe. But yeah, then Mushu, also everything looks the same. Everything is this bamboo, and everyone loves Mushu, but for me, especially like the Oni dungeons take so much time. I'm a big Mushu hater. I'm really sorry. I love cows, but yeah, I can't see. I don't want to play it through Mushu one more time. So yeah. Then Dragonspire, also everything looks the same, and maybe it's even worse than the other three worlds. But Dragonspire is also a point. I really love the end dungeon. Like it has so much. Like if you don't know where to go, you have to do so many fights and some really interesting fights for this like stage where you're at. But questing through it takes extremely long, and it feels as bad as some other worlds which are coming up. Yeah, I have to put it on D tier. Like as you can see, I really love like the beginning of Arc 1, and or the rest of Arc 1 is not really liked by me. And we have Grizzleheim, aka I don't know what the other area is called, but I gonna rate it as 1. The first part of Grizzleheim is really bad. It's extremely long. The quests take forever, and then the second part at least gives good XP and has a really interesting story if you're interested into the story. So I'm gonna give it a B tier. If part one wouldn't be there, I would probably put it in S tier. To be honest, like it's like D tier level with the first part and S tier level with the second part. Then Celestia, um, I rather play Celestia than these two worlds. But I can't put it like really high. But I would still give it a B tier. It's not bad. But I think there like some areas could be like be more interesting, and quests a little bit shorter. Like this world feels really long, even though it's one of the shortest worlds. So yeah. Then we have Wisteria. And we have Wisteria. Wisteria, the story isn't really relevant, and it's basically the Goblet of Fire from Harry Potter copied. Um, you encounter the first like cheating bosses because you can get there by level 25. But to be honest, who goes to Wisteria when you're like in the middle of Marleybone? Yeah, the same issue has like Griselheim, and I would put Wisteria to C tier because the world overall looks really good, and the cheating bosses aren't like unfair cheating. But yeah, it doesn't give XP. Like you don't really get rewarded for playing it. Like I'm missing like a card reward or like something interesting. You just play through it, and like 50% is just talking to all the other students, and then in the end, the plot twist with, oh no, one of the teachers is the bad guy. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. But then we come to Safaria, and I'm not gonna count Safaria when it released because we all know this Rhino quest was like, oh boy, defeat this Rhino. Can you defeat the Rhino again? Defeat the Rhino again, yeah. But now replaying the world, it really felt good. Like you have like this huge variety of enemies. You have like these four, like you have the elephants, you have the gorillas, you have the zebras, and you have the lions. And it really felt good playing through it. Like I really like Safaria compared. Like I think Safaria is better than Celestia. It doesn't feel like that long of a world. So yeah, I would say A tier. And then Avalon. Avalon is, in my opinion, S tier. It is a kind of long world, yeah, but at least you get like it has a huge ton of lore, and I really like when a world is lore heavy and like packing the lore in a good way. And it also also offers a lot of variety when it comes to enemies and areas. So whenever an area gets like boring, you get to the next area, and that's, in my opinion, is a really good way of, yeah, of world design, because you don't want to make the player bored because you're stuck in the same area with the same enemies for hours. And I think this does Avalon really good. And what Avalon does really good, then we have the world that does this really badly, especially the swamp area. I really like dinosaurs. I'm a huge Orc Survival Evolved fan, and I wish I could love this world, but yeah, I have to put it F tier because they just made it too long. It's like, I don't know, it's like 250 quests or something like that. It's like as long as Khrysalis, or even longer than Khrysalis. And yeah, it's they need either to shorten the world like with the quests or do anything, because right now it's just like with most wizards, when I reach Azteca, it's the point where I just take a break because this world is just exhausting. This world is extremely exhausting. Like, yeah, Avalon is fine, all the other worlds are also fine, but this is just exhausting. Yeah, and then we come like Aquila is a really also a big fan of mythology and like ancient Greek stuff and Egypt and like all the ancient mythology stuff is like interesting to me. The world itself looks decent, like I would even say good, but the dungeons are like the gear for like I think 25 is the Zeus dungeon. It's really cool and good. But the issue is the Poseidon dungeon gear is bad compared to Waterworks, and the Zeus dungeon gear is like too much time to grind for comparison to Darkmoor, which is just 10 levels away, and 10 levels is it's not a lot of work at this point. So I have to put it to D tier because the usage is literally just Olympus, and the rest of it is, it's not looking bad, but the dungeons are just not worth the time. Then we have Khrysalis. A lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it, apparently. And honestly, I don't hate it that much, but it's, I wouldn't say it's F tier. I mean, it is as long as Azteca, but it has like more variety. Like you see more different things. The story is more engaging, and like you have all these wars within this world, and so I would say it's a C tier. Yeah, it's also really long for no reason, and like what is really cool about it, you get introduced to shadow pips, and shadow pips are just cool, and yeah, I would just say it's C tier, maybe D tier. Yeah, I would rather say it's D tier because I don't want to play through it anymore. I'm like, I played through it like 3 times now, and it's the same feeling I have for Mushu and for Dragon's Fight. I just don't want to play through them anymore, and yeah. Then we have dungeons. Let's say it's Darkmoor, because Darkmoor is like the dungeon you play the most and replay the most. And since Catacombs has its own symbol, let's say this is Darkmoor. And I say Darkmoor is S tier. You get a really cool spell for basically every school, and it's like a challenging dungeon. I like when something is challenging, but not specifically unfair or ultra hard, but it's challenging. I just think the drop system could have like improvements, because we aren't back in 2015 anymore, where everyone has like 10 hours a day time for grinding. So I would really love to see a pity system, or a better pity system than what we have now in Novus and Wallaru. But overall, I think Darkmoor is one of the coolest dungeons they ever made, besides the Forbidden Library, but this is a gauntlet, so it doesn't really count as a dungeon for me, so yeah. And we have Polaris. Polaris, shortest world, I'd say, besides Croc and Wizard City. And I would say S tier. I would even say top of S tier. I'm not a big fan of like I have to say, I don't like this North Pole Russian style stuff, what's going on there. But the story is interesting, the areas all look interesting, the enemy variety is okay-ish, like it gets better the further you get. I think it's a really good world. Like design-wise, it's the best world. It's the best what they ever did, because you don't need to have a shit ton of quests to make a world good. I want a short world which introduces me to a lot of enemies, which gives me the feeling, oh yeah, I would like to quest through this world again. And that is what Polaris is doing really good compared to what is Azteca or Mushu or Dragonspire, where questing is just awful. And then the Arcanum, I mean, it's like new school, so I don't know why people like it that much. I think it's okay. But it doesn't have like, I wish there was like more to it than just be a new hub. So I say it's C tier. It's not bad, it's not good, it's just there, and it's fine how it is. Then Imperia. To be honest, I really liked Imperia. Like you also have like a lot of different areas, a lot of different enemies. Yeah, I really liked it. Besides the crafting stuff, which is horrible there, I liked it. Yeah, I would even say A tier, because it's not that bad. Like questing is it's long, yes, but it's not as bad as like Khrysalis or Azteca, because you also see a lot of dark places first, and you get to like the aeroplanes, which are a beautiful green space. So you have like this contrast in the middle of the story by questing through it. So yeah, I think it's a really good world. It is a little bit long, so that's why it's not S tier. But I wouldn't say it's like a bad world. So yeah. Then we have I always forget the desert world, how it's called. Oh yeah, I just checked. Yeah, Mirage, and Mirage comes before Empyre, but that doesn't really matter. Okay, so we have Mirage. Mirage comes after Polaris, and I think it's they made a good job by making a world that is based around like pure desert to make look the yeah, they made a good job by making the areas look good, even though it's like a pure desert world. So also the grandfather spider fight is pretty interesting in the end, and I don't want to put it in A tier. I would even say it's low S tier. Like they made a really good job with this world, and yeah, that's after like Polaris and Mirage, which are two really good worlds in my opinion. They started lacking a little bit with Imperia, but that's okay. And then we have the Catacombs. Back then, I think it was like a good idea for like, I think it was like an in-between update. So I think it was like a good idea back then, but now farming the gear takes way too long because I was like, I unlocked now the Catacombs. Maybe I do the boss 1 or 2 times, and after seeing how much crafting materials I got after beating like all the bosses once or twice, I was like, I could farm now for the next 10 hours here, or I could complete 2 worlds and I'm level 150. And then get some 150 gear. And I decided to just quest because the time it takes to grind this armor is just insane. So I just leveled up to 160 even, with probably in the same time I could have gotten the gear from it. Now, then I just did the rematches, and then I got the 160 rematch gear, which was way better than the Dragoon gear. And I was like 2 or 3 worlds further now. So yeah, I have to say back then it was like A tier, really cool, really challenging. And now it's just you don't need to do it. Like it's just a waste of time, to be honest, because either they make a way better drop and pity system for Catacombs, or they can just delete it, to be honest. No one needs it anymore. Yeah, it was cool for like when it was new, but now it's just you don't need that shit. So yeah, I'm sorry. I like the aesthetic, the look of it, but it's just useless. It's just a waste of time, to be honest. And then we have Caramel. I think it's not a bad world, but I have to stay based because yeah, I can't listen to myself too much because I kind of hate this world just because of the vibe it gives me. It is funny, yeah, but I don't know. And the Lord Gobsmack fight, I think it's its name. It's horrible. And the world at least doesn't feel like extremely long, but I'd say I put it on a level with Celestia, for me at least. Because I don't really like the world, but it is not a hard world. Like, it's the last world you can easily solo, and then we come to Lemuria. Lemuria is like the first world I wasn't able to solo most of the bosses, or not first try at least, and this is what made Lemuria look to me like it made it look way too hard for a solo player, and I really had to wait hours for team ups. So this is also what makes this world a bit like looking bad in my eyes. I at least like the story and the areas and stuff like that. I would put it on A tier. It could be S tier to be honest, but it is just like too. Yeah, the boss, some boss fights, especially cheating bosses, were just too hard to beat. And also the spells you get there, like I don't like any of the spells except for Death and Life, and all the others, like they look cool from the animation and stuff like that, but the utility they give is just useless. So yeah, I say A tier, would be S tier if it was more solo player friendly, but it really isn't. So yeah, and the same problem we have with Novus. I really like this abstract this abstract stuff Novus has. And then they introduced new dog areas, like Marleybonian areas, and I don't like Marleybone, so I don't want to play Marleybone content, and Novus gave me Marleybone content. I would say B tier. It's like the same feeling as Caramel and Celestia. Like, I don't hate the world, but I also don't like the world specifically. Yeah, the bosses are just too hard. Same issue as Lemuria for solo. And yeah, that's I would say B tier. That doesn't mean it's a bad world, but like some improvements could be made. It's also not like a long world. I was like through Novus within 1 day. But yeah, that was only possible because I was like I found a random questing with me. Otherwise, it would took me like I don't know 3 to 4 days if I did it completely solo. And I guess then I would put it honestly lower. So yeah. Then we have Wallaru. I just finished Wallaru like how long is this video? 20 minutes or oh Jesus, okay. Yeah, I just finished like 30 minutes ago, and I have to say Wallaru feels better balanced because you also reach like 170 really quick, so you have this power spike, and you feel stronger than the in Novus and Lemuria until you get like the Novus gear. But as soon as you reach Wallaru, you feel at least really strong, and that's a good point in my opinion. And the one bad part I have to say about Novus is the solo instance boss fights. I know they should be there so you can't just get carried through everything, and it should like give you a little bit of a challenge, but yeah, they like when you're questing with someone, like for example Depression or Prive, I don't know what the name is of the campfire boss or whatever you want to call him. Sometimes you have to wait for your mate because he takes forever for the boss, or he has to wait for you because you struggle on the boss, and I'm not a big fan of that. And what I really don't like about this world, you have to fight like Freddy Croker like 4 times. Like first you fight him or his dream trajectory once, then you fight him again, but you fight against 2 dream trajectories. Then you fight again with some other boss, and then you fight him again with the dream trajectory of himself and his real self. And I hate it every single time I have to fight against any of him because he gives you like weekends, and I just don't like these specific fights, and that is what it like drags down. And if these Freddy Croker fights weren't a thing or as annoying as they are, I would put it probably A tier or S tier, but I have to put it B tier just because of this. Yeah, Freddy Croker really, like they really managed to make an enemy or an evil guide, which I really hate, which is kind of cool to be honest. But yeah, it nearly gives me the feeling I don't want to play this world anymore. Yeah, so yeah. This is my final rating. I know a lot of people like this is not the usual. Oh, I put Mushu in a S tier. I'm a bit based here. I'd say at least. Yeah, this is my tier list. make whatever you want with it. If you skip to this part to just see what is my final ranking, don't just write a hate comment or something like that to me. Listen to the full video on your second monitor and while you're playing Wiz or whatever. Yeah, I just have some, like, maybe some unique opinions on some worlds, and yeah, I'd say thank you for watching, and see you next video. Bye.